All right. In class the other day, we were talking about simple interest. So the idea that you don't get paid interest on the interest you make. You only make interest on the initial amount invested. So there's a couple examples just to illustrate this idea. So number 4 says, Ellie invested $100 at a rate of 5% per year for 2 years and 3 months. Calculate the interest earned on this investment. When we looked at the formula in class, we said that interest was equal to the principal multiplied by the rate multiplied by the time you leave it in that account. The principal is going to be the amount that was invested, in our case 100. The rate is going to be the percentage given to us, but it needs to be represented as a decimal. So you can take that 5, divide it by 100, and you get 0.05. The time will always be in years. Since our interest rate is 5% per year, our time also has to be represented in years. Now, unfortunately for us, we're given a time of 2 years and 3 months. So my plan of action is going to be to convert years into months and then convert the total amount of months we have to work with into a total amount of years. So 2 years and 3 months is the same thing as saying 24 months plus 3 more months. It's very, very similar to like terms that we've talked about before. You can only add things together when they have the same units. So in total, I have 27 months to work with. In order to turn that amount of months into years, you're going to take that value and divide it by 12 because there are 12 months in 1 year. So 27 divided by 12, and you get 2.25 years. All right, so in the boxes are all of the things we need for our simple interest formula. So if we jump right to it, our P is going to be $100. The R is going to be 0.05, and our T is going to be 2.25 years. The amount of interest earned on this investment is going to be $11.25. Okay, so not an incredible amount of money, but we aren't investing a large sum to begin with. Okay, so calculate the total amount of money this person has earned after that term. Well, they started with $100, and they've earned $11.25 in interest. So the total amount of money would be the sum between those two, and it'll be $111.25. So $111.25 is what she will have after 2 years and 3 months. Okay. Number 5, John invested $350 at a rate of 6% per year. Calculate the total amount of money at the end of 3 months. So we'll start out the same way. We'll list all the things we know. The principal is the original amount invested, and that's going to be $350. The rate is the percentage turned into a decimal, so 0.06. And the time. We have 3 months. I need that time to be in years since my interest rate is in years as well. So we're going to divide that by 12. And that will give me my value for years. So 3 divided by 12, and it's 0.25 years. So a quarter of a year is 3 months. Okay, here's all the things we need. So interest is PRT. My principal is $350. The rate is 0.06. The time is 0.25. So only interest and let's see, 0.06, 0.25. So the interest made is $5.25. Now we're asked for the total amount of money that he will have at the end of 3 months. So we're going to take the original amount that was invested, so the $350. We're going to add to it the interest that he makes on that account, and in total you will have $355.25. Okay, so this is the total after 3 months. Okay, so the biggest thing to remember is making sure that time is always in years. Making sure we convert it. Example 6. Kenny invested $2,000 in an account with an interest rate of 1.4%. He earned $14.96 in interest. For how long did Kenny invest his principal amount of money, rounded to the nearest tenth of a year? This time the question is worded a bit differently, so we really need to make sure we know what we're being told. So if he has invested $2,000 into the account, that is our principal. That is the original amount being invested. The interest rate, that's our variable R, is 1.4%. Turned into a decimal is 0.014. He earned $14.96 in interest. That's I this time. So we haven't quite seen one like that yet. Okay, so dollars. For how long? We're looking for time. We don't know what the time is this time. So if this is our formula, and we're trying to solve for the amount of time, we're going to put in everything else we know, all the numbers we have so far, and we're going to see how we can work backwards to get that value of time. So the interest is $14.96. The principal is $2,000. The rate is 0.014. And time, I don't know it, so let's just leave it alone as t. Now what I'm going to choose to do is multiply the 2,000 and the 0.014. It's going to simplify things a little bit. So I'm going to end up with 28t on the right-hand side. Now that 28 and the t are being multiplied with one another. So how I'm going to get rid of the 28, because I only want the t, I'm going to divide both sides by 28. I'm going to do the opposite operation. If I take 28 and divide it by 28, they're going to cancel each other out, and I'm only going to be left with the variable I want. I want the time. So on the left-hand side, take 1496, divide that by 28, and to the nearest tenth, 0.5 is going to be equal to t. Okay, so if that t value, it's always in years, if I have 0.5 of a year, really, this is 6 months. That's how long this was invested for. Okay, so a little bit different than some of the other questions we've seen. We had to rearrange a formula, but as long as we keep things organized and we do the opposite operations, we can always solve for whatever we need. Okay, the last one here. Jody earns $48.74 in interest on money in a savings account. So I'm told my interest value is $48.74. She invested her principal at an annual rate of 2.3%, which is 0.023 as a decimal, for 13 weeks. So I'm told the time is 13 weeks. Now if I divide that by 52, it's going to turn it into a value of years because there's 52 weeks in a year. Okay, and that's going to be 0.25 of a year. Okay, so I have the interest, I have a rate, I have time. I'm looking for the initial amount of money that she invested. I'm looking for the principal. So if we jump to our formula again, interest is equal to principal times rate times time. Fill in everything we know. $48.74 is the interest. The principal we're going to leave as P because we're trying to solve for it. The rate, 0.023, and the time, 0.25. Again, just like the previous question, we're going to multiply those two numbers together. So take 0.023, multiply it by 0.25, and get 0.00575. Now, just like before, if you want to solve for that variable of p, you have to divide out everything that's not p. So we're going to divide by 0.00575 on both sides of this equation. And I'm kind of running out of space here, so let me do this. Okay, so 48.74, divide by that value. How much money did they invest? So we are talking about a value of money. So we do need to round it, but not to the nearest whole number, not to the nearest tenth. It has to be to the nearest hundredth. Really, I have dollars and cents to worry about. So that initial amount of money is $8,476.52 is our principal for this situation. So again, very similar to the last one, I was looking for a different piece of information this time. The structure of these questions will be the same. We're going to read it, try and figure out what we have to work with, and we're going to list it on the side. Next thing I always do is grab our formula, and then we're going to put everything into that formula that we know so we can figure out what we have to find. All right. Next time we'll take a look at compound interest. But until then, there are some practice ones down below should you desire, so I'm going to scroll through them. The answers will be at the back just like before, so you can pause the video at any point, try out these questions on your own, and take a look at the answer once you've done them. Try not to peek at the answers as you're doing the question, because psychologically you're going to think that, oh, I know how to get that answer, I could do it, without actually doing the question. So try them all first, and then take a look and see how you did after. Or take it question by question. Try a question, check the answer. If it's wrong, see how you can go back and fix it using the couple examples that we just talked about. Okay, and there's the answer key. Okay, I hope that helps, and we'll see you next time.